You were trying to get Thanos or Mirage, but instead you pulled Master Mold. Well, that sucks. But have no fear, while limited in use, Master Mold does still have some pretty cool builds, and we're going to be going over some of those today. I've been a fan of Master Mold ever since its release, not because it's a strong card. In fact, its effect is actually dog shit. But I absolutely love the art, and who doesn't like Sentinels? Mutants. That's who doesn't like Sentinels. Also, your opponent hates Master Mold because you're going to be clogging their hand. Master Mold is a 2 energy card with 2 power, and it reads, on reveal, add 2 Sentinels to your opponent's hand. This card is useful if you want to clog your opponent's hand, so if you're up against something like a Thanos control or maybe even a bounce deck, you can go ahead and add 2 Sentinels to your opponent's hand, effectively reducing your opponent's hand size to 5, or you can combine it with strategies like Ronan, which gets a boost from every card in your opponent's hand. When released, the first Master Mold decks that were appearing on ladder were strategies that combined Master Mold with cards like Ronan and Darkhawk. Now, I would argue at that time, Darkhawk was just so good that you would probably be putting him into any deck. But Master Mold does help Darkhawk strategies in the sense that if you could clog your opponent's hand enough that they miss a draw, that's going to be 1 extra card in your opponent's deck that Darkhawk will then get a boost off. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the old deck lists that people were building with Master Mold initially. I see a Claw and a Sarah. I'm not too crazy about that. We might be changing some of those cards for some modern cards, but let's go ahead and just start with this as a baseline. Now, it plays Korg, which again is great with Darkhawk, Master Mold, Zabu, Mystique. Maximus is going to be drawing cards to your opponent's hand. Now, that's also kind of counterintuitive with Darkhawk, but sometimes you don't draw Darkhawk. I guess it's okay to go with your Ronan. We're going to be taking out Claw. I don't think I like Claw in this deck. I also don't really like Sarah. Iron Lad. I think Iron Lad is good in this deck. It could hit one of our effects. The only card I'm worried about Iron Lad hitting is Mystique, but we can always play it after we have Mystique in our hand. So let's go ahead and put Iron Lad in there. I do want to focus on getting some power. So you know what? Actually, I'm gonna put Maximus back in. I think Maximus is okay because we can also play him behind cards like Cosmo. I do think this deck struggles a bit with power, so maybe we could put in a card like Medusa. Let's go ahead and try something like this. As you know, the most important part about building a deck is naming your deck. So if we don't give it a proper name, the deck is not going to perform well. So I'm going to call it Moldy Rocks. All right, and with the name out of the way, we are set to take on our competition here with Moldy Rocks. Now, the first game with Moldy Rocks went fairly well. None of the locations were too oppressive. We managed to have a turn 2 Zabu, which is exactly how we want to play out all our games. On turn 2, we had a Nova flip, which is bad for our Darkhawk as it effectively makes him lose 2 power. So for this game, I'm thinking we can go into a Ronan line of play. I opted to go with an Iron Lad on turn 3 because we had our Mystique in hand, so I'm not afraid of his effect whiffing. We were lucky enough to hit a copy of Master Mold, which is perfect for the Ronan in our hand, and I know for sure that I'll be playing the Ronan strategy for this game. So on turn 4, I played Rockslide because my opponent. Here, have some rocks. Turn 5, we go with a Ronan play. Now, usually this makes me nervous because I'm open to a Shang-Chi counter, but I guess if they have it, they have it. Usually I'd like to play Ronan behind a Cosmo, but unfortunately we didn't draw the good boy this game. On turn 6, we lead with our Mystique and follow it up with a Maximus to ensure that Ronan is fully roided. Our opponent then snaps, so we obviously snap back, and while they managed to build a decent board, ours was just bigger. And with that game out of the way, we are off to a good start with 8 cubes. So with game 1 in the books, I think the deck performed extremely well. Master Mold did exactly what we wanted it to do. We wanted it to boost our Ronan, and it did exactly that, although via Iron Lad. But let's go ahead and play a few more games to see how else the deck can perform. Now, the second game went just as well. We once again opened with a Zabu. Turn 3 saw us playing Iron Lad yet again, only this time hitting a Ronan. Wow, he's huge. Turn 4, I hit my opponent with some rocks, but unfortunately, our opponent destroyed our Iron Lad with a Shang-Chi. Now, while this is bad for my Iron Lad, I can now play my Ronan without fear of a destruction effect. Turn 6, I opt for a Mystique and Mold play since we don't have priority, and our opponent just concedes. So we have 2 wins in 2 games. That must mean the deck is broken, right? Well, it's not. Now, as I played more games with the deck, we saw our fair share of losses. We also saw some fair share of wins, and funny enough, we did even have a couple of ties. And as I played the deck more, I did see some of its pain points. For example, we struggle against cards like Enchantress and Rogue. And as you've seen in the previous games, we also do struggle against cards like Shang-Chi. And while those cards are not exactly auto wins against this deck, it does require us to have to be a lot more careful as we pilot the deck and put a lot of thought into every move that we make. We also had to commit to 2 lanes pretty early on because this deck doesn't have too much power output. And of course, we had to make some spicy plays. For example, flipping this Cosmo before we played out our Darkhawk. You, Shang-Chi. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how Master Mold has performed in this deck. It does help us power up our Ronan and potentially our Darkhawk at times. However, if you guys are looking just for that high win rate, you're probably better off playing a deck like Dino and Darkhawk. Now, while Ronan and Master Mold are a good combo, I still find that Ronan is a bit lacking in comparison to Devil Dinosaur. Devil Dinosaur relies a lot less on your opponent's hand, while Ronan does not. But if you guys are looking to play Master Mold like I am, I definitely would try this deck out as it's a lot of fun to play. Now, let's go ahead and take take a look at another version of a deck that we could play like this, utilizing Master Mold. Instead, we're going to be using a bounce strategy. So this version of bounce is going to be focusing on playing our Master Mold and our Baron Mordo. We're then going to be bouncing those cards with our Beast and hopefully replaying them on later turns to further clog our opponent's hand. Again, the deck is going to be centered around Ronan because we're going to be clogging our opponent's hand, and we're going to be playing cards like Kitty Pryde and Iron Man to pump out another big lane. So this is a version that I've been working on. So it has cards like Hood, Bast, Kitty Pryde. Those are hopefully the cards we're looking to draw turn 1. Actually, since the new OTA, I'm going to be removing Hood and I'm going to be putting in Hawkeye because I feel like that's probably more consistent and better power, and it relies less on having to beast our Hood back to get a second demon. So we also have Medusa in here for extra power. You can play Medusa on turn 2. You can then bounce it back with Beast. It's going to keep its boost, and then you play it again in the middle, so it's going to get even bigger. So hopefully it's at 8 power. And then on turn 5, we're looking to play something like an Iron Man and a Ronan. And then from there on turn 6, we're looking to dump our hand. Now, I mentioned to you guys that if we don't name our deck properly, we're not going to win at all. So I don't like the title Mold. Let's go ahead and call this Moldy Bounce. Let's go ahead and play a few games and see how the deck performs. Okay, so we see our opening draw. We have Kitty Pryde, Iron Man, and Ronan. That's great. We have a turn 5 play. We have an amazing turn 1 play in Kitty Pryde. I'm just going to go ahead and drop that into Wakanda. Wakanda is also awesome because we're not afraid of cards like Shang-Chi anymore, especially if we're going to go big in that lane. So I think I'm probably going to maybe drop Ronan into Wakanda. That way Ronan is protected, and then maybe we can Iron Man a second lane. I'm going to drop Hawkeye here probably. It's kind of unfortunate because I want to have Angela first, but that's fine. We'll just drop our Hawkeye. That way next turn we can play Angela into this lane and Kitty Pryde again to boost it. And I think maybe that's the lane we're going to be trying to Iron Man because none of those cards should be... Oh, wow. And we hit Lake Hellas. Holy. That is actually huge on a Hawkeye and a Kitty Pryde. We also drew our Beast, which is incredible. So I think we're off to a really good start here. We're going to drop Angela and Kitty Pryde. Angela's going to get boosted by the Kitty Pryde. Hawkeye's going to get boosted by the Angela and become an absolute unit. So now I think I'm going to drop Kitty Pryde. I'm going to drop Beast. That way everything is reduced in cost. Here, just to protect it from the Shang-Chi. That way we can also play the Iron Man. So I'm going to drop Kitty Pryde here, hoping that we don't get priority going into turn 6. And then on turn 6, I'm just going to be dumping my whole hand. So let's go ahead and do that. Hawk, which is perfect. We have the Iron Man here. I think we're going to be winning this lane. So I'm happy that they played the Darkhawk into the Iron Man lane. We're going to bounce the Kitty Pryde back. And they have priority on turn 6, so I'm not afraid of playing my Kitty Pryde into that lane. I think I'm going to probably do this and this on this lane. Yeah, we'll go with this. Let's hope that this is enough. We might... I don't think they're going to be beating us on Lake Hellas, but we'll see. Oh, Enchantress. But that Enchantress shuts off their own Darkhawk, so I'm not really sure why they did that. And a Captain Marvel. Okay, well, we're good. We ended up winning that game. So we were obviously off to a great start, and we even stringed together a few more wins after that, but I couldn't help but think that we were only winning because of the bounce strategy and not because of Ronan or Master Mold. And the only time we actually managed to play our Ronan was against a discard deck, and Ronan is actually really garbage in that matchup. Card that literally discards your whole hand, huh? Who would have thought? The deck is also weak against cards like Enchantress, since our win conditions are Ronan and Iron Man, except of course when our opponent plays their Enchantress into their Darkhawk lane. What even was that play? The deck is obviously fun when it works, but I can't help but feel that I would rather actually just replace Master Mold and Ronan with cards that better suit the bounce strategy, like Mysterio and Hitmonkey. But of course, I would never do that because I love Master Mold, and I'm gonna keep trying to make this card work until finally it starts seeing a lot more play. Of the two decks, I definitely think the first one that we tried with Darkhawk and Ronan definitely fits Master Mold a lot more thematically. Its effect is a lot more impactful in that matchup, where if we can clog our opponent's hand enough, we can boost our Darkhawk, or we can clog our opponent's hand enough just to obviously boost the Ronan. So with that being said, I do hope that we get a lot more support for this card in the future. I do hope that it sees a lot more play because I absolutely love it, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. So thank you so much for watching to the end if you have. If you guys are brand new here, please subscribe to my channel and leave a like. It means a lot to me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.